It's no secret that 5e 2024 has moved in a very high fantasy direction, but if you prefer playing nuanced characters adventuring in a dangerous world, this video is for you, because Grimhollow allows you to play as a blood-bending assassin or a paladin whose oath is to a god of slaughter. My name is Ben Byrne, and these are some of Grimhollow's new horror-themed subclasses. You hear whispers of the wrathful dead clamoring at your ear. At times, their voices are a rasping murmur, and at others, their screams drive you into a rage. Choosing this Barbarian subclass gives you the Rage of Dead at 3rd level, increasing your speed by 10 feet and ignoring difficult terrain whilst raging. And additionally, during a rage, you can move through other creatures' spaces, and attacks of opportunity have disadvantage against you as you become partly spectral. But the spirits who haunt you also fill you with the emotions of their final moments. At 3rd level, after finishing a long rest, you might become overwhelmed with hate. When you miss an attack of opportunity against a creature, you have advantage on the next attack against it before the end of your next turn. Or you might be overcome with jealousy, which means if a creature you have grappled tries to escape the grapple, you can use your reaction to impose disadvantage. Or perhaps the spirits will fill you with terror. Whilst bloodied, you can use a bonus action to dash or disengage. You can swap between these features each time you complete a long rest, listening to the spirits whispering in your ear. At 6th level, you can evoke more than just the emotions of your tormentors, but use a magic action to actually manifest the cause of their deaths during your rage. Spirits who died of illness allow you to spread their contamination, forcing creatures within 10 feet of you to make a save against the poisoned condition and taking poison damage. Or you might inflict hypothermia on your foes, forcing creatures within 10 feet to save against cold damage and having their speed halved for a minute. By 10th level, you gain some control over death itself, becoming hard to kill, which gives you advantage on death saves, and you need to fail 4 to die permanently. You can also call on the spirits of the dead to restore life to a nearby creature, able to cast Cure Wounds, Raise Dead, or Revivify without material components, or even spell slots. Doing so instead causes you to suffer levels of exhaustion depending on the spell's power. You might choose the path of the Wrathful Dead if you want your Barbarian to be a character like Senua, haunted by self-doubt and a dreadful past. Perhaps the clamoring spirits are folk from the village you grew up in, all slaughtered in a terrible tragedy you were powerless to stop, but now you seek revenge for. Or perhaps the spirits are your ancestors, coercing you to fulfill a family oath you never signed up for. They cannot rest until the destiny of your bloodline is fulfilled, and if you fail before you die, you are doomed to join them. The only truth of war is death. The only virtue is to kill. The only victory is to survive. Heroism, honor, and glory are illusions for moralizing cowards. You believe the only sane way to live in a world of violence is with strength, and your deity embodies these values. In their honor, you have taken an oath of slaughter. At level 3, you gain Frenzied Slaughter, allowing you to channel divinity and enter a battle frenzy. During this frenzy, your attacks become quicker and more fanatical. When you miss with a melee weapon attack or an unarmed strike, you can use your reaction to make another attack roll with the same weapon or unarmed strike. If this second attack hits, you regain the reaction you spent, meaning you're always ready to lash out. You also become more resistant to being charmed, frightened, or stunned. You extend your Frenzied Slaughter by attacking on each of your turns, similar to a Barbarian's Rage. But if you are bloodied, this ability is automatically extended. Because for you, violence is the ends, not the means. Your god doesn't care whose blood is being spilled, whether it's your enemies, your allies, or your own. Victory is secondary in battle to simply inflicting as much carnage as you possibly can. And at 7th level, you extend this bloodthirst to your allies via your Paladin aura. Bloodied creatures of your choice within your aura of protection add your charisma modifier to the damage of all their weapon attacks or unarmed strikes. And at 15th level, whenever you make a melee attack against a creature and they become bloodied, you can immediately get a free attack attack roll against them with advantage. Choose this Paladin subclass if your character worships a god of war like Ares, who represents the brutality and chaos of battle more than strategy or victory like Athena. Similarly, the Archdemon Tormak from the Grim Hollow setting simply can't embody all aspects of war because they're not powerful enough like a god. Instead, the Archseraph Imperius favors the valorous and the strategists, while you pray to the brutal and bloodthirsty strength of Tormak instead. Alternatively, you may worship a deity of death like the Raven Queen or Thanatos. It's not that you enjoy the slaughter, but that you're sworn to claim souls for your god like a Valkyrie or a Reaper. The Oath of Slaughter also gains blood magic at level 3, able to cast Sangromancy spells, which are also included in the new Grim Hollow Player's Guide alongside these subclasses. The Player's Guide is a really complete book for creating fully fleshed characters from a Dark Fantasy 5e game. New subclasses like the Oath of Slaughter take advantage of new spells. The new heritage system allows you to custom build your species to take advantage of your subclass or new backgrounds that we're including. There's also feats and advanced equipment options, and you can still late pledge to the Kickstarter by clicking that link up there, which gives you instant access to the playtest document for 12 new subclasses, including the ones in this video. You're an assassin of particularly violent means, harnessing the power of Sangromancy to murder your victims with their own lifeblood. At level 3, you gain the spellcasting feature, not dissimilar to an arcane trickster, but you also gain a pool of d8s equal to the number of sneak attack dice you have at each level. Sangromancy spells require a typical spellcaster to spend hit dice to cast the spell, drawing from their own blood. When you cast a Sangromancy spell, you can draw from this pool of d8s instead, and when you hit a creature with sneak attack, you regain a d8 to this pool. In this way, your Sangromancy features become cyclical, spending blood to create magical effects before claiming it back from one of your foes. The Sanguine Thief has the best features to play a blood-bending spell sword. In addition to your Sangromancy spells like Crimson Lash and Wilting Smite, at 9th level, you can create arcane daggers from crystallized blood during a long rest. These daggers can act as your arcane focus, but also inflict additional damage on a critical hit, depending on how many hit dice you sacrificed when you created them. At 13th level, you can unleash a hailstorm of bloody darts that strike multiple targets, inflicting up to 3d8 plus your dexterity in necrotic damage to each target that's hit. And you regain d8s into your Sangromancy pool for each target reduced to 0 hit points using this feature. But at level 17, the Bloody Exit feature is the piece de resistance. When a creature makes an attack roll against you, you can use your reaction to spend 5 hit dice, or from your Sangromancy pool, to make the attack auto miss. Then you teleport up to 30 feet to a space you can see. Then you make 1 melee attack with advantage against a target near where you teleported to. If that attack hits, it inflicts an additional 5d8 necrotic damage on top of your sneak attack for a total of the weapon's damage plus 9d6 sneak attack plus 5d8. As the dragon, giant, or fiend lunges at you, you burst into a red mist before reappearing behind them to deliver a potentially devastating counter-strike. Choose the Sanguine Thief Rogue if you can't decide between Arcane Trickster or Assassin. You have learned to cast divine magic without the need for a prayer or bargain. Your theological studies reveal truths about the gods, yet you have little to no faith in them. A Daemonologist is a wizard who can siphon scraps of power from either the divine or the profane. At level 3, your spellbook gains additional spells based on your choice. If you are channeling divine power, you gain spells like Bless, Aid, or Revivify. If you channel demonic power, you gain spells like Bane or Fear. You can swap between which powers you're channeling after a long rest, and you also gain Stolen Secrets at level 3, which gives you an Eldritch Invocation. You gain a Warlock's Invocation as if it were a wizard class feature, using your wizard level for prerequisites. prerequisites and your intelligence modifier instead of charisma. This means you can play as a wizard with a pact weapon, a book of shadows, or a specialized familiar such as a fiendish imp or celestial sphinx of wonder. And you gain additional invocations at level 6 and 14, possibly enhancing your earlier choices such as adding the investment of the Chainmaster features to your familiar. You can of course choose the invocations that provide simpler bonuses such as a free casting of spells like Mage Armor or gain advantage on concentration checks. There's a lot of combinations to explore with a wizard who gets Warlock invocations without the need for multi-classing. But your character does need to be careful. Demonology is rarely practiced because stealing invocations without a bargain could make you a target for wrathful demons. And seizing divine magic without prayer is considered heretical, possibly earning you enemies among the clergy and Inquisition. Nevertheless, at 10th level you gain Unearthly Countenance, able to appear angelic or demonic for 10 minutes depending on where you're siphoning your power from. In either case, your commanding presence grants you advantage on charisma checks and you gain a 60-foot fly speed from your radiant or tattered wings. Any spell given to you by your 3rd level feature is also cast as if you had spent a spell slot 1 level higher than what you actually did during your Unearthly Countenance. Your Daemonologist may be a retired priest who lost faith in the gods, but your spellbook retains some of your old prayers that allow you to siphon their power. If you'd prefer to play an actual cleric, you might choose the Purification domain, believing the only cure for disease, mutation, and other forms of bodily corruption is to cleanse it with fire. And you can access that subclass and others by late pledging to the Kickstarter through this link here. Or if you're a GM, I wrote an entire Dark Fantasy campaign for you to run in this video here. Can your players survive the corrupting presence of the Great Beast?